Welcome to the Innovation Squadcast, making a positive difference in learning through innovation.
Welcome to Innovation Squadcast. Thanks for making us part of your educational PD journey. In today's rapidly evolving educational landscape, educators have the opportunity to integrate innovative tools that foster creativity and critical thinking in their classrooms. This next rendition of our MakerCraze series centers around Microbits, offering an exciting opportunity to engage teachers in hands-on learning experience. Microbits not only introduce learners to the fundamentals of programming and coding, but also empower them to explore real-world applications through interactive projects. By embracing a maker mindset, educators can inspire their students to become problem solvers and innovators, making them both meaningful and enjoyable. I am Jimmy Kate.
Phil Sheridan.
Pam Hebler.
And we are innovative learning coordinators at Berkeley County School District, and we are talking our MakerCraze series, next episode in rendition. We've done laser cutting, we've done 3D printing, and now we're moving on to Microbits. Am I missing one?
No, we did a couple of sessions of the laser because we had such good feedback from that. So these series are held after school at one, or sometimes we'll rotate to different schools in the district. But typically, I think our start time for this this session is going to be 3 o'clock. So it's going to be 3 to 6, 4 sessions. That's exactly how we've been formatting the laser and the 3D printing one. So, so this time around we're going to focus on Microbits.
Right.
It's something that we use in our schools quite often. The students are really engaged with the activities that we present them. It opens up a lot of opportunity for us to just talk to the teachers about what are you learning about? What's going on in your classroom? The Microbits are very versatile, very flexible, so we can adapt the integration of those to fit a lot of different grade levels and standards and curriculum. So we took a look at this as to, this series. Well, how can we break this down so that participants, teachers, can walk away from this series feeling like they've got this. They can really go forward with using Microbits in the classroom. So our first session is really just going to be an introduction. What is it? You don't have to come to us with any prior experience with it. We're going to get you from no knowledge to a pretty, proficient user by the time we're done.
And about, real quick, what is a microbit if somebody's never even heard of one?
Yeah, so if you want to jump over to the webpage there, microbit.org is a place where you can go and just kind of get some information on that. We're looking at the Getting Started page right now. But a microbit is basically a microcomputer. It looks like, just a little circuit board when you take it out of the box. And it is packed full of sensors that can be used for inputs. And with a microbit, which is, microcontroller, you can then use some of those inputs to perform certain outputs, like light up LED lights, turn on a motor, collect data with it, and store that data and analyze it afterwards. Let's say you teach science and you want to get some temperature data, you want to set up a weather station. So all kinds of stuff can be collected and controlled with a microbit, a microcontroller. Okay. The great thing with it is that it is coded using MakeCode, which when we look at a lot of the technologies that we have, I'm looking on the table here and I see, a Dash robot. Dash robots are coded with block coding, so Blockly. Ozobots, a lot of other robotics. Code.org, when students get into that, it's a lot of block coding, Scratch. So we're building upon what in many cases is prior experiences and knowledge that the students have. And the great thing is the microbit gives them the ability to be creators and makers. Where a lot of this stuff is robotics, already, kind of pre-configured, predetermined outcomes. The microbit allows them to be problem solvers and inventors. And again, using a familiar coding platform that they've used before. So does that help to kind of touch on what is a microbit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Whenever the kids see it, they love it because it's like, it looks like the inside of a computer. And it's really
really what it is. It can be.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing is they're not incredibly expensive either. They're I think $17.50 if you went on Amazon and you purchased one. It'd get you a microbit, a USB cord, and a battery pack. So a bundle, a class set, it's like $175. So not in comparison to a lot of technologies, $17.50 is a pretty good bang for your buck with what you can do for it. Okay, so looking at how we broke our sessions down, introduction. What is this thing? How do we code this thing? Just a real quick, like just a getting started. And then session 2, we're going to get into using it to sense the world around us. Inputs. What can we do to collect information with the microbit? I said before, things like temperature and sound and light, acceleration, accelerometer. Just what is the microbit? What does it offer, and what can we use to collect? The next session, we're going to get into, connecting and controlling output devices. So, for example, LED lights. Kids love LED lights. We can create light up sneakers. The sneakers you run around in and the shoes light up.
Right,
I don't run around in them, but
that's cool.
Yeah, so you could create something like that. So for solving the mystery as to how do my sneakers light up when I run around. Well, it's an input sensor. It's shaking, so that microbit can sense that, and the output is LED lights lighting up in a certain pattern or color or whatever. So, session 3, outputs. What can we do as a result of something that it's sensed as an input? And then the 4th session, we always try to wrap up our cohorts with, the integration aspect of it. What do you teach, and what have you learned with the microbit, and now what can you do to integrate this into your curriculum, help teachers with developing a lesson that they can share with the group, that we can share with other teachers as well. One of the desired outcomes for us as a team with these cohorts is to not just bring a good number of teachers in and empower them, but to create a library, I guess, if you will, of resources that teachers have created in the district based on what they now know about this technology that we can share through Schoology with other teachers, so they can take and we can build on that after each of these cohorts that we do. So also in session 4 is Pam's going to talk about the climate action kits, which use microbits. So.
And the climate action kits are just a kit that, and it is linked in the show notes, so that way you can see there's a lesson library, and you can go through and see all the things you can build with the kits. It's almost like what would you call it? Like the Legos or
Connects or stuff like that. Yeah.
Where you can actually build something and then actually make it move with the coding through the microbit. So there's a lot of cool resources in there, and you can sign up for that, even if you don't have the climate action kits, and we do have them here, where you can always reach out to your ILC, check them out, and try them with your class. So it's a good way to start.
And like you said, what they've done for this Forward Education company that makes these climate action kits, they do a great job in creating the lesson library that you can get into by grade level, by what is it that I'm teaching, and they really break it down so that it is, as long as you know a little bit about a microbit, grabbing a climate action kit, the lesson plans, it's everything. Start to finish is done there. And then the same goes for just using a microbit, the Make Code website, providing great resources, lessons, already created lessons, and materials for teachers that want to integrate this technology into their classroom. So,
so I got the Forward Education website up on here, and like I said, these are great because when you click into them, they give you basically a video walkthrough on how to put them together. They actually give you the coding. So if you're using for maybe a younger group that may not be quite ready for that advanced coding, but if you got an older group, then you would be ready to have them actually unbox the coding as well. But the lesson library is vast. It's got a filter that you can find all kinds of information from as well. So you can see all the different, and those all come right with the kit. So great little resource.
It's definitely a focused package of, activities, focused in and around the climate and, things of that nature. But, I always get the question from teachers about microbits, like, what can I do with this? And it's almost like I can better answer, like, what can't you do with this? Because it is not like a lot of other technologies that we integrate that have like predetermined outcomes, and you'll use it and then that's it. You know, like, well, we had that experience. Microbits, it's like continuously, throughout the year.
Yeah.
It's a something that can always be integrated, and the kids really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of kids when I'm done in a classroom, like, where can I get one of these?
Right.
And
they have a lot. They work with so many different things. Like, I mean, even if you got some kind of just a coding class, they have the ability to plug them into this little handheld gaming system, and they can actually create their own video game, and then play the video game that they created.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
got
pretty
one of
powerful.
those. That was really cool. Yeah.
So
it's just great because it's like microcontrollers are everywhere in our world around us, and it demystifies a lot of the things that are in our world. Like, hey, you're walking down the hall, how'd the hand sanitizer machine, when I put my hand underneath of it, dispense hand sanitizer? You know, when the kids are done, oh, I get it. That was an input, and then the output was hand sanitizer when it sensed, motion in front of the sensor. So I think kids really enjoy that when you start to demystify their world around them.
Yeah. So if teachers are listening to this right now, again, going back to the MakerCraze, is there certain grade levels, certain subject matter, or is it pretty much, across the board, we can make them work? Anybody. I mean, from the, teachers, we want any teachers to come in, no matter what your grade level. I guess, to be realistic, if I think back to, like, well, what grade level, from the student abilities, I would say as low as I've gone is probably like second grade. Much below that, I think, there's other things that are going to be challenging factors in using this. So I would say second all the way up through. Most commonly we see, probably I would say fifth through, fifth and up. Gotcha.
But
I was able to do it with the kindergarten when it came to, we did the automatic watering of their plants. And so it was the ability to, but really it was just about teaching them how to put it together, how the microcontroller goes in there, show them the code. Obviously we're not going to be able to do the code, but they really enjoyed that automatic aspect and seeing some of that work together.
Even if they're not coding, which may be difficult for a kindergartner to get into Blockly and block code its concept of coding. And what we want kids understanding is it's when you're working with a microcontroller or you're doing coding, it's if, then, if what, then do what. So I think even kindergartners, that concept and thinking process of if something, then an outcome is something that they can start to think about, like you're watering. If no water, then water. Now, we may just show them the tool that does that, but if they could start thinking in those terms, I think that helps.
Absolutely. All right, so if they wanted to, again, join the course, again, check out, you should be getting an email over the next couple of days where we've got I got the flyer up on the screen right now. And but yeah, we're looking at right now tentative dates of February 12th, 19th, 26th, and 5th. Again, once you see the email for the information, definitely check it out. And hopefully it'll go out with the podcast. That would be ideal. And then it's at Whitesville from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, the 12th, 19th, 26th, and 5th. So
that 3 o'clock start time can be a challenge. We've heard that feedback, for some grade levels. Some schools have been really good at, supporting their teachers and saying, well, we'll get your classroom covered and, so you can scoot out a little early to get to that school. But we are aware of some of the challenges with that 3 o'clock start time, but I think it's well worth the little bit of a headache it might be to figure that out.
Yeah, because again, applications are pretty endless. We've got social studies lessons, science lessons. There's everybody, every teacher, any subject can benefit from these. And then we also need their expertise, I think, as well, like you said, to help build that library, right? How can a English teacher, how can a science teacher, social studies, math incorporate these? And there's always going to be some kind of way that we can do that. So
not to ruin some of the not to ruin some of the surprises that every cohort that we've done, people walk away with some stuff,
right?
So there's no guarantee as to what we're going to do, but you come to these sessions, you're going to walk away with things you could take back to your classroom. Like you're probably going to get a microbit, right? And a few other things to go along with that. So we try to incentivize that. for those that are, think that that's cool. So join us.
Yes.
And I was just going to say, as far as the computer science teachers or, computer lat, like any of those teachers that just need another tool in their classroom to help them actually teach those skills, it would be perfect for them as well.
And it's PD credit too.
Yes.
That's what, 4 times 3 hours. It's a good 12 hours of really great PD credit. So yeah, I think I've sold it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah. So again, look out for the flyer, reach out to your ILCs if you're interested, and we'll be more than happy to get you connected with the Microbit MakerCraze series. Thanks everybody for listening. Make sure you check out the show notes. It's got, again, information. We'll have a link to the flyer and some of the links in there as well, so that you can check out the show notes and find that information there. Also, make sure you head to the show notes to find the Unified Talent link that will give you for every 2 episodes, you get 1 hour of renewal credit. Don't forget to like and subscribe to these in YouTube and Spotify so you can watch the videos now, especially since we've got the board operational. Now you can see kind of what we're doing up there as well. And again, I really appreciate everybody who's listening. I appreciate you guys for being here and sharing your expertise on Microbits. And I hope to see everybody at the Microbit class. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.